This is the one the home crowd have been waiting for. The champions of Dubai last week against England. Well, they met 3 times in the Cup semi-final last season. England won all 3. Last week they met again in the semi-final. South Africa won that 19-0. They went on to take the Dubai title. And Matthew Pearce, the way they've been playing, they are going to take a deal of stopping. They look like champion favourites today.
Well, they certainly do, Nigel, but let's not tempt fate on behalf of South African fans. We saw in the previous semi-final, Fiji against New Zealand, just how New Zealand were able to stretch Fiji, and Joel Stransky mentioning that Fiji had not been stretched at all during the pool stages, nor in their quarterfinal. And one has to say that the same applies to South Africa. They coasted through their pool, and they just need to be a little bit wary. They were pretty good in their quarterfinal as well, not stretched at all on that occasion. So this is their first real test.
That's the same lineup as last week for South Africa. They have Power, Kabela, Ndaka, Mokoena, Schop van der Merwe. They have skill behind it. Stefan Basson, Berger, Dimas. And there's Philip Berger there. Kabamba Floors, Basson. And well, we'd heard there was a slight problem over Daniel Dimas, who seemed to sort of pull up a bit sharpish earlier today. Clearly he's fit enough and well enough. And strolling across the pitch at the moment is Paul True, the ever-anxious-looking coach. Here at England, well, it's a whole change lineup. 2 guys who only came into this tournament, youngsters, teenagers, Daniel Gray, Charles Amesbury, make the lineup with the big, powerful man, James Haskell, Michael Hills. They're the key people up front with Andy Vilk, sprint man, but playing hooker. And then, well, that depth of experience, Simon Amor and Ben Gollings, who've, well, a hatful of titles behind them in the last few years. But, yeah, I think it will be no easy task, although it's South Africa who've looked so good. As Matthew said, they certainly have as yet to be tested, but they looked good against England last week, went on to beat New Zealand in the final. Will it be a repeat of that? We shall see.
Well, they're packed into the Outeniqua Stadium here in George. The win in Dubai last week has certainly done a massive service to this week's event. You compare it to last year, should I say, last year's George Sevens.
It's a great
This is a much better turnout.
It's terrific to see. It's a complete sellout, and how it has built since we first had an IRB Sevens tournament here 4 years ago now. This Emirates airline sponsored Sevens, and always elegant. Their in staff on display. The mascot here as Fiji wave to the crowd, stunned, I'm sure, by the margin of that victory. Not the victory itself, but they were so well beaten by New Zealand, who emphasised that physical approach, which Fiji sometimes find hard to take on board. But the crowd here waiting for this semi-final playoff.
And South Africa will be mindful, Nigel, of this time last year when they were in the semi-finals against rather unfancied Argentina, perhaps rested on their laurels a little bit and disappointed their home crowd with a semi-final loss to Argentina, who then went on to go and lose in the final to Fiji. So they will surely have learned from that experience. They won't be taking anything for granted. They've got a packed stadium, and the people have come to see them win, and I'm sure they will be not taking anything too softly in this semi-final.
It's been a long wait. They haven't won their home tournament. They won the plate 2 years ago, as Matthew said, knocked out by Argentina in a close contest, which was a huge disappointment. Can they now get the title that's eluded them so far? Winners a week ago, their 7th title in their 14th final. James Jones is the referee from near Swansea in South Wales, and I have to pay credit to this team of referees who have performed so well. Here we go then, the Feinen Hout against the white shirts of England. It's an old matchup. This is their 28th meeting, and it's pretty well perfectly balanced. Of the 27 played, England have won 13, South Africa have won 14. Here we go with Haskell, the big newcomer, the young England flanker, and away by Gray, and sped on by Gollings. Amesbury. Oh, and he's beaten one man. Amesbury for the corner against Basson. Basson just in time, 5 metres out from the line. Rescue work. Then Damwell Damas, and that was great cover defence, but England throwing down the gauntlet.
They certainly did. What a strong run it was by England, and Stefan Basson, who was rested for the quarter-final match, just benefiting from that extra bit of freshness in his legs. It's a wonderful run from Amesbury, just bumping off the tackle of Damwell Damas.
There's another 10 metres. There's a bit of back chat, and it's Michael Hills. Well, England occasionally guilty of indiscipline. Not only the penalty against for the scrummage mistake, but also the chat back. Amesbury, this youngster from the Harlequins, new to sevens. This is his first ever tournament. What an occasion for him. England put in, my goodness.
Philip Berger, not a happy man at all.
It's tense.
He thought he'd grab possession from that ruck, and the referee, I think understandably, very quick onto the whistle. Tensions are high in the Cup semi-final.
The playmaker Simon Amor in his 38th tournament, the 27-year-old. To the newcomer, Danny Gray from the Bristol club. Ducks under one tackle, 2 men come in.
Roll 10 green. Back
That's Jonathan McWayne battling for it, but it's away by Vilk, and on now to Gollings. Amesbury again. He's being asked to run around Damwell Damas, but that's an impossible task in that situation. Kabamba Floors, the hometown hero, challenged by Vilk. Kabamba Floors, did he get in touch? No, he stayed on his feet. He's going to get the opening score. The crowd go wild. It's the man from this home patch who gets South Africa's first score. How well he took it. No wonder the smile.
Well, it's a dream start, isn't it? Both for Kabamba Floors and for the 10,000 plus people who have turned out to watch this semi-final. What a season he's had. Just been outstanding for the Cheetahs in the Currie Cup competition. And look at the pace of the man, deceptively quick.
You'd never think he was just a flanker. Plays a great wing game as well. And the man who celebrated his first test cap for the Springboks back in the UK only, what, 2 weeks ago? 3 weeks now, is it? Sets South Africa on their way. Basson with the conversion. Looks good, but just drifted left of the uprights. Bit of a breeze behind South Africa this first half, not easy to gauge, but there's the man. Kabamba Floors had a superb Currie Cup, and that's just the start South Africa wanted. How well he took it.
Andy Vilk, no slouch in terms of pace either. To get away from him took some doing.
Big James Haskell of the London Wasps. I think he's been a great find for England, no matter the outcome here. 21-year-old. This is Amor to Gray, to Gollings. Well, he can work miracles sometimes, but Amesbury's in trouble there. Locked in by 3 Springboks. It's back to Gollings. This is Amor. Vilk takes on Berger. Big handoff. That's his hallmark. In to support is McWayne. Down on the halfway line. And England eventually get the put in. The crowd will jeer every decision, however tiny, against South Africa.
Who'd be a referee in this situation? It just doesn't matter what you... But I suppose it's a good test for them. It's a great nursery for international referees, the sevens game. Not as much traffic. And got to deal with this kind of thing in hometown crowds.
Van der Merwe, Floors, McWayne, the front row for South Africa. That's a penalty. It was taken by Bergie, and he knows it without the ball, Amor, so he's quick to feed it now. Gollings, and again, looking to try and set Amesbury away. He might use him as a decoy, he's quick himself, but in comes Benjamin, who's had a terrific start to this new season. This is Gray. Now it's Amor. They really need another flyer, England. They don't have a David Strettle, they don't have a Tom Vandel this season. So they're having to go the game of playing, stretching, eventually looking for a cover gap. Haskell will take them on full frontal, takes out two, he's clung to by Damas. 10 metres out, Amos screaming for it to Ben Gollings, the old half-back pairing. Long float, it's a good one to Hills, he's in. They won't stop Hills. Sometimes sheer physical presence can make its mark in the most effective way. So England level it at 5-all.
And South Africa have got to be careful here, Nigel, because they've gone over the offside line a couple of times. They've been warned by the referee, and it was this time last year that Stefan Basson got a yellow card, which cost his side dear in the semi-final.
England showing they are indeed competitive. This new structured lineup with a whole host of changes. 5 old, 7 new in the squad, and added to by Amesbury and Danny Gray. It's actually half and half, old and new, but this man's been around a while. Ben Gollings, top point scorer in the world of sevens rugby, and that's why. It's fantastic. The lead for England.
Just the ball doing the work for England and creating the space out on the right. Did the width of the pitch 2 or 3 times. Very effective passing. Unforced error though from the restart.
Well, I would have, I'm not Mike Friday, the England coach, but I would give it to Gollings every time for the restart kicks. It's one of those key strengths which Serevi has had over the years, and Gollings too. And so young Danny Gray, it's a torrid atmosphere out there, the pressure. You cannot afford to give away possession by not kicking the ball 10 metres on the restart. Philip Berger to Daniel Damas. He seems to have got a new lease of life. Here is Rhino Benjamin with a big handoff on Gray. Rhino Benjamin against Amor, brilliant tackle. Tremendous cover from the England skipper. Picked by Danny Gray, the ball is free. Kabamba Floors with the challenge. The half-time hooter goes. This will be the last play. Amesbury. It's a battle royal out there now. Claiming it's not released in time. Amor screaming at referee James Jones. He's just got to keep his cool, but he isn't at the moment.
Let me lead the conversation, Step.
Just listen in here. Had a bit of a contretemps last week in Dubai, which led to a yellow card for Amor by this same referee.
Let's get something straight. If I'm giving instruction,
2 captains.
okay, to release, get your feet, let's listen to it. If someone moves and I don't repeat it, I'm happy he has released as a second phase of play. End of the half, let's calm it right down if someone's going to go over 2 minutes. You know I won't tolerate it.
Laying down the law. And all a bit fractious and almost too intense. That's half-time. My goodness, tense, eh?
It certainly is tense, but what South Africa are going to have to do in the second half if they're going to make the final against New Zealand is they're going to have to tighten up on their defence. One of the disadvantages they have in having slightly built players who are built for speed against a team like England is that it's taking 2 or 3 players to bring the England players down.
A calm voice of Paul True, himself a great sevens player in his day and captain of the Springboks. And a popular all-round, but passionate. Let's hear him. He's got out of mic range. I think he's asked the sound man to turn the microphone away. He said he tried to do that last week. Well, it did them no harm. They skated through the final against New Zealand 31-12. There's Phyllis Greening, and of course for Mike Friday, and I think probably the manager Terry Sands too. It may be the last time in charge of this England setup, and they've certainly gambled on youth here and inexperience, but this is in the melting pot, and the unpredictability of sevens. Could it be one big brilliance, a moment of brilliance? Could it be one missed tackle, one loose pass that decides who meets New Zealand in the final? Well, this is a much more edifying contest than the first, where New Zealand outclassed Fiji. Where's your money now, Matthew?
I'm not going to put it anywhere, I'm afraid. But there's a quiet around the stadium. A nervous tension.
It's great theatre, it really is. And there's a full house with Haskell on the break, Rhino Benjamin in cover, so too Berger. Try to do drop out, and a little bit of feeling spills over. I don't want to see that. You heard James Jones say, you know, calm it or someone's in the bin. And you know I mean it. He does. Basson, absolutely brilliant in Dubai was he. Well, what an occasion for players like this. Charlie Amesbury, out of nowhere from Harlequins. Penalty for not releasing, could be a key moment. Here's Basson, he pretty clever runner himself, collared by Haskell. Crowd saying that's not released quickly enough, and this is Hills again to Gollings. Gollings is quick, not as quick as maybe the covering Demas and Benjamin, but clever. Demas there, it's gone too far, it's a 22. Hairy moments.
I think anything to do with Daniel Demas is a hairy moment. Quite expensive hairstyle, along with the one of Kabamba Fleurs, but certainly not showing any signs of that hamstring twinge. He really out-sprinted Gollings.
Amesbury and Gray, the new boys. Here's the old hand. And Vilk too. Done England proud last couple of seasons. Takes a deal of stopping with the upper body strength. Amesbury to Amor. Loves to duck and dive and dart. Haskell with Vilk, just glanced up, you saw him, wanted to offload, but the tackling's firm, so knock on, no advantage. By the second, the tension mounts here, the crowd just baying for a breakaway by South Africa.
Vital tackle there from Stefan Basson. He didn't make the tackle, but he got a vital hand in there, knocking the ball out of an England hand. And it just is on a knife edge, isn't it? It's just going to take one moment of individual brilliance.
Paul True, look at the tension on his face. He lives, breathes every moment. Van der Merwe is replaced. Benjamin Demas against Amesbury. Sees little chance of making it up that touchline, so it's on to John Bowles. Bowles to Mokoena. Basson goes for the long one. Jordan Bowles from the Falcons. Played his early rugby in Natal. Oh, it's just drifted forward. Shame, hey, say the crowd. And I think it was a fair decision. Pressure on these players. We're down to the last 4 minutes. England with that conversion advantage. 7-5. Is it to be an upset? It would be an upset on for the form today, just as New Zealand's victory so convincing over Fiji in the first semi-final.
Spread it round.
England can make a massive impact here. A score from this scrum
Good.
would put the game almost beyond South Africa's reach.
Gray wasn't the heel Amor would have wanted. It shot out.
All hands away.
There's Haskell, the Wellingtonian, standing for square on his feet, and it's a good old 15-a-side effort. There's half the teams in there on both sides, and South Africa got what they wanted. England didn't use it. South Africa had the pudding. The title last season, sorry Matthew, the title last season for South Africa was in Paris. They won Dubai in the opening one of this year. They got their home title, their home tournament. They've got to get to the final first, and this is Berger with Kabamba Flores. Amor chases, just bowled out of the way, but he did enough to stop Flores in his tracks. Basson sees 4 men outside him, goes wide and wider still. This is Benjamin. Benjamin goes for the corner. Vilk with the tackle, importantly. Demas. It really is a thriller, this. Now it's Mokoena. Jonathan Mokoena. Nice one arm to Bowles, to Demas. 2 men wide. Surely it's on here. The pass is good. And Haskell won't stop Berger. No way. Philip Berger, almost nonchalant in the end. The lead for South Africa. Berger, who's been one of the new stars, gets his 7th try of this tournament.
What a season it's been for him too. The top try scorer in South Africa's Currie Cup in the 15-man form of the game, and a real find in terms of the sevens. And he showed in that Currie Cup season, even in the 15-man, that he just has electrifying pace. You give him this much space to work with, and they did well to create it. Mokoena did well in the build-up, and that much space for Philip Berger. He doesn't need any second invitation, but it's still not safe.
Kick just wide, but it's 10-7. 2 tries to 1 converted try. South Africa have a minute and a quarter to hold out. England 75 seconds to pull one back.
Vital contest this at the kickoff.
Basson, one of his skills, the all-round player. I know that Paul True wants him to sign as a permanent 7 squad member. Will the Blue Bulls allow him to? Vilk to Amor, to Gollings. Gollings, I've seen him pull games out of the fire. Clever ball, but Haskell not the fastest man, nor Hills outside him, but he'll take one out, maybe 2, and try and set it out the other way. Brilliant work by Hills there. Vilk, Gollings, they're working it well. Amor and Amesbury beyond him. He's got to go for it, but the pass not in hand. Just, late tackle that. That's a late tackle. And Dusty Noble had come on as replacement. Well, bit of a question here. Dusty Noble, number 5, may get 2 minutes, although there's only a minute to play. That is late. That is stupid. Very stupid. And the England management are pretty inflamed. Watch here. You cannot do that. There's a card here. It had to be.
Not acceptable.
Sorry, had to be.
Well, he's shaking his head, but he's got no right to. And if South Africa lose the semi-final from this move,
must make a tackle,
because they've had 6 men on the field to 7, he's got a lot to answer for.
So it's 7 against 6. England have, well, a golden chance here. This is Michael Hills. This is Andy Vilk. That's Tabela Ndaka, such an impact player. And it's a penalty. The crowd erupts in joy. They've only got seconds to survive. Bahuta will go any second. It looks as though they're into their 2nd consecutive final, where once again they will face New Zealand. This will go in touch. This will be the end. The crowd rise already in celebration as Basson sets seal on another South African triumph over England. What a call that was. What a tight contest. But they've done it again. The form team of the moment are into the final against New Zealand. And England, a brave effort by a team of, well, newcomers who clearly have a great potential for the future, and so nearly pulled it off. But to the victors, the spoils, and South Africa have looked the part. And there's a little bit of aggro out there, which is uncharacteristic of Sevens rugby. But I think England are truly still incensed about that effort by Dusty Noble, when it wasn't even a tackle, it was just a barge on a guy. And Simon Amor sensibly is pulling his players away. England are upset, and they've got to ignore it. But unfortunately, there is a simmering follow-up of discontent and anger from England. So, South Africa, by a whisker, are into the final.